I've got a real good excuse. Eddie has spawning over the bottom right-hand side to get this match underway. Playing for Team Exxon, it is SpeCial.
Yeah, I haven't done the single. Oh wow! Look at that! It's the game today. Makes me.
Well, I'm
sad.
traumatized from last time, Kevin. You know, never again, never again.
Oh wow! What do we got here? It's a game of StarCraft 2 in the top left side. We're looking at the main base, blue man. We just got a 2-0 over Eric. It is Terran.
You know, maybe this, in fact, not this series, but one series, I'm going to start whipping out some Rotterdams that I hear 7 times a series or 7 times a game. It's like, transfuse, that's one hell of a drug, and blah, 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 blah. I've heard that so many freaking times now. Then it's, stim, that's one hell of a drug, and da, da, da.
I never say stim is one hell of a drug. That's something I don't say. No.
I'll freaking clip
I'll
it.
go find it. I will give you $100 if you can find me saying stim is one. Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be so nice. But you know the transfuse one for sure.
Yeah, no, transfuse I do say. I mean, it happens, but I don't think I'm going to say it in this best of 3 though, man.
The thing is, when you're casting so much, like when you do a whole day,
I know,
and you're talking to yourself as well, it gets a little bit dicey.
Yeah, especially if you have a Korean qualifier in the morning, a European qualifier in the afternoon, and an American qualifier at midnight. It's like, well, transfuse truly is one hell of a drug, okay? That's all I got at 1 a.m. That's all I got, baby. All right, man, TVT, this is your territory. Talk to me. What would you like to see from the underdog here?
Like what he's doing right now, he's playing the most up-to-date orthodox build that you can do, which honestly, I using this time to see how he does against SpeCial with this kind of build, because there's a lot of cheeses you can do, like the Proxy-Rax Marauders, Proxy-Rax Reapers and all that jazz, but if your opponent scouts you and plays safe, usually you're ahead, especially with this kind of build. So I like the fact that he's opting for something very, very standard. Here, given that they both walled off and didn't really get much information beyond, you do kind of poke around the map just to see if there is a second Proxy-Rax available. This with SpeCial being, is he going to be aggressive with his SV? I'm not actually sure. Usually that signals that.
It's kind of on patrol at this point. Sometimes an SCV can make the difference, right? If it's Reaper Hellion versus Reaper Hellion, you have a little SCV in the front, can give you high ground vision, it can soak up a couple shots, while your units can deal the real damage in the back. We'll see. Terran is going to take a adventurous route with his 2 Reapers, and maybe he's just going to hop those 2 Reapers into the main base. And if you're terribly out of position against this band, 2 Reapers, 4 or 5 seconds of freedom, they can pick off a couple SCVs.
They certainly can. This is the kind of play that I hate to go up against, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like the one spot he didn't have covered, and you think, nah, he's never going to do that, is he? That's wild. But here they are. They're in the base, and this is already a bit of damage being done. Gets 2 SCVs thus far. Should be able to maybe save a 3rd. So a bit of scouting information behind all this. He didn't go for like a 3rd Reaper and stuff. He just went straight into the Cyclone and what have you. Cyclone with a couple of Marines will be able to hold this off. But SpeCial is going to be looking for a little bit of counter damage here.
Yep, and don't forget, he still has that SCV, so he can send the SCV in the front too, and then maybe the Cyclone will lock on the SCV. That is indeed what's going to happen, and that's actually not good for Terran, because you want to get that lock on a Hellion or a Reaper, and he could be in a bit of danger. I mean, Cyclones are good, Ben, but this is still quite a few units on the side of SpeCial.
That was super close from being inside, by the way, and then he would have probably lost that Cyclone, and this is damage he obviously didn't want to have done. Oh, if he lands a grenade on that, can't repair it anymore. But, oh.
Wow. That's a sweet save.
Pretty okay, yeah.
Sweet save. Definitely could have been worse. We still lose 3 SCVs, but we also killed a couple SCVs. 2 on the other side of the map. 1 SCV that was part of the push here. I think we've got a pretty even game. Decent crisis management, if you ask me.
Definitely. I always look at production tabs when things like that are going on for players that I'm not super familiar with. Everything looked pretty on point. Like the Raven's a little bit delayed, but from the unit tab, he's got a Cyclone out and a tank out quite a bit faster than SpeCial. And you look at the supply as well overall, he's taking a little bit of a lead in that regard. Of course, there is a 3rd going up quite greedily for SpeCial, but yeah, all things considered, very even game.
And that's what we'd like to see. Obviously, the first best of 3 of Latin America was a little one-sided. SpeCial's TVZ looking a bit too sharp for the Zerg Lord, but this is shaping up to be a pretty decent TVT. And I mean, one hell of an upset it would be if Terran would somehow end up winning Group A here. and secure his slot in the playoffs. We're not there yet, but that ping advantage could definitely come into play. If he's feeling it, if he's been playing a lot lately, we've definitely seen bigger upsets than a 6,200 MMR Terran beating a 6,800 MMR.
Oh, certainly. And this is one of the matchups that you can really make magic happen as well, because a few wily moves like that, getting the Reapers in the main, getting a Doom drop in the main, magic can happen. It's Terran that's playing very safe here. Like, this Marine count's very high. He hasn't dropped to 3rd yet. This is a little more unusual and does kind of signal that he wants to be, you know, moving out on the map with a... Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, if SpeCial spreads himself thin over 3 bases, maybe the Ravens and the tanks can find an opening. Because these TVT fights, they can be very unforgiving, right? SpeCial throws down a scan in the main base, and he did see the 3rd command center, and he saw it was a lot later than his. And that's obviously bad news for Terran, because that means that SpeCial's probably going to play this one quite safe.
Yeah, and rightly so. Terran also lands down a scan just to make sure that nothing Weasley is going on. SpeCial's been known to whip out mech now and then. This could be an absolute anti-timing for that command center, though, for a SpeCial.
Yep, Terran sends over a single Marine. Is going to get a scout off. SpeCial needs to be careful with that Raven, because that Raven, sure, it can be a scout. And all the Ravens and Vikings are in the bottom, but this Orbital is going to take a lot of damage. We could even get an auto turret or an interference matrix. No. Terran does not want to go for it. He feels that he can't get that. The Orbital isn't going to be in range of the tanks, though.
No, it certainly isn't. SpeCial's taken this very calmly, very methodically, actually. I love the play from both of them. Oh, he put an interference matrix on the one with no energy there. That was a bit of a misplay there.
It seemed a little bit silly, because that Raven already casted an interference matrix, so... to put a matrix on that Raven didn't make too much sense, and unfortunately it kind of feels that Terran just lost his momentum without getting too much done. He is going to siege up a tank. Is SpeCial going to drop an interference matrix on it? The answer is yes. Now the auto turrets go down too, but this is where the Ravens of SpeCial will really make the difference, and without too much of a fight even taking place, well, this is a good moment to siege up. If I was SpeCial, I'd probably disengage, because this is not a fight you're going to win.
Not at all. That Cyclone also picking off the last unit there. I was just thinking that SpeCial's moving forward with such confidence. Maybe he knows something that I don't. But no, you do not run into siege tanks without stim or combat shield marines.
I love this tank positioning on the high ground. That's where Clem earlier today had one of his tanks too that got some beautiful shots of on the banelings of Vanya. Haven't seen that often in the past, that a tank from the high ground in the center has a big impact on the fights that take place in the center of the map on the low ground. But, well, Romanticide's been around for a while, but you learn something new every day.
Terrans are evolving, Kevin. It only took them like a good year of playing on this map to utilize the center properly. But yeah, it is funny that in one day we see it utilized twice.
Yeah, and I legit had not seen that. Like, obviously, we're familiar with tanks on the high ground there when they cover the bridges, right? Especially in TVZ. We've seen that a million times, but I haven't seen them placed in the center and then actually kind of controlling the center of the map. It's cool
I
to
like
see.
that Terran is taking a page out of Prodos's book by just placing a depot at the top of the map here. Maybe we'll place one over to the far left as well. Because, I mean, SpeCial is a guy that we've known to multitask a lot. And in Terrans in general, when it comes to TVT, a drop can really mess you up. So I like this little touch by Terran over there.
A little bit of a human touch too, no? Build a couple farms around the map.
Oh, mate, you know, when I was playing Warcraft 3 again, it was very funny how long it took to kill buildings. You could be whacking away at those bad boys for seemingly an hour, and they won't get done.
I know. I still watch a bit of Todd's stream, and he's like, yeah, this is fine. I was like, I don't know, Todd. I don't know if that's fine. You're building a farm in someone's face and it takes them an hour to kill it.
It was actually really funny. There was a period of time where you build a farm at the start of the game, like in your opponent's night elf base, and they'd never be able to deal with it because like every unit you have to use, right? It was so silly.
SpeCial is going to drop an armory and Terran is doing the same thing, so it's really turning into a nice macro-oriented TVT. A little bit of a fight over vision in the center, and SpeCial does have the better engagement here at first. I was about to say, why are we disengaging when we have the medevacs above our Marines? Seemed a bit silly.
Overall, this game's very close between them. I like that Terran's going for a fourth on location here. It's an unusual fourth to take in my eyes, because very often we go for the one that SpeCial's army is at now kind of thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see how he utilizes this, because it gets very gnarly to defend. You know that expo just below it on the map? If you get on the high ground up there, you can actually hit the expo of Terran. So I am worried for him a little bit if this game does go on for quite some time.
SpeCial hasn't seen it yet, though. He's got a couple of Marines nearby in the top side that are about to be taken out. The SpeCial is going to make some moves with the majority of his army in the center. And now Terran still has all these Marines at the bottom. But SpeCial left a few units behind at his third. If I was Terran, I wouldn't stim into that. But yeah, the door is wide open to drop into the main base. Why the hell not? 2 Vikings are not going to prevent this from happening. I kind of like where all of this is going for Terran. He should be able to find some damage here.
He's got a better worker count and everything, and this position that SpeCial's in here, you can't get really much done, and I don't know why Terran's playing so scared with his Vikings. He actually had more than SpeCial for a moment there, but SpeCial sorts things back at home. But yeah, Terran's definitely played a good game, man.
I kind of feel that Terran could have done more damage in the main base there. And like, I know that he was busy dealing with the big army of SpeCial 2, and he wants to make sure he wasn't out of position. As an anti-armor missile does land on these Vikings, but SpeCial loses the Raven in return. If he would have just unloaded those Marines and stimmed into the middle line immediately, he probably would have taken out 8 or 9 SCVs and maybe even that tank. But he kind of just stood at distance and started firing at a refinery and a depot or something.
Yeah, definitely. It's easy to say things, right? Whereas when he's trying to deal with everything, making sure that nothing's out of place, I guess your list of priorities, just making sure you don't die, was up high on his list.
You could get a cancel here on the 5th command center of SpeCial. There are no units nearby. Killing the planetary is going to be a little bit hard, so let's just settle for an SCV, a refinery here and there. And even though SpeCial's got this soft contain going, it's not really threatening Terran by any means. And once more, the Brazilian Terran is playing a very solid game so far.
He's absolutely going toe-to-toe with SpeCial here, which I didn't think I'd be saying. Like, I didn't think anybody would be going toe-to-toe with a SpeCial in this qualifier, or rather in this region, besides, like, the likes of Kelazio. But Terran, like, for quite a bit of this game, actually, I'd say he's been at a lead almost. His supply was better, his 4th base was faster, his upgrades are ahead as well. He's just playing a really, really solid TVT.
And it's that even at this point. 12 tanks against 10 tanks, 9 Vikings on either side, and 65 against 60 Marine SpeCial. Is he paying attention? I have the feeling he wasn't. He stims up, but it's a little bit too late. Can the Marines of Terran get on top of these tanks? The answer is yes, Ben. And Terran takes an amazing fight here on the top right side of the map. And can he now push this momentum forward and get in range of the planetary?
This is really amazing play from Terran, and SpeCial, he has to be so careful here. Like, his tank count sucks compared to that of Terran, the blue Terran over here, moving out across the map, and he's going to start positioning himself, trying to get through these rocks, and he knows he's got a bit of an edge in this game.
He really does, but it is hard to make more of that when your opponent is just sitting there with a sensor tower, with all the tanks, and obviously the Marine count is getting back up real quick for SpeCial too. He's actually got more Marines now, but Terran finding some nice pickups with his Vikings. My goodness, the Brazilian Terran player, Ben, we asked for fireworks. Well, he's giving us some fireworks here in Game 1.
I'm super impressed by his play, honestly. I'm very, very impressed. He's putting pressure, or SpeCial under a lot of pressure here, and you see that SpeCial is trying to do everything he can. He's really trying this game, but Terran, now he's the one with a really nice contain.
Yep, but there is a big triple drop heading towards the natural. That could be a bit tricky to deal with. A few Marines in the tank are making their way over, but this drop is going to hurt because there weren't too many defensive units. Terran is sending 4 Liberators back to deal with this. I don't know if Liberators are really the right unit, but hey, it's gonna sort of work out. And keeping this orbital safe at least a little while longer, but it does go down in the end. And that is a massive pickoff. SpeCial finally gets a big W on the board.
It is for sure. The one thing I'm worried about for SpeCial here is he's remaxing on a lot more bio, whereas soon, like after seeing those Liberators and stuff, you have to stop worrying about that. But again, Terran, he's focused so much on air control here, the Vikings, the Liberators, he has no medevacs.
No, he unsieged everything. SpeCial saw it, and SpeCial steams forward immediately and gets a pretty good fight at first, and the follow-up is even better. Oh no, Terran, if only we would have left 1 or 2 tanks behind sieged up, none of this would have happened, and that's all it takes to lose Game 1 against SpeCial. Wow, that's almost a bit unfortunate, right? He felt like he didn't deserve that. He was playing a pretty awesome game. But SpeCial kept a close eye on that army, and the moment he saw everything was on siege and making their way over home, SpeCial said, ain't gonna happen, and gets an amazing fight.
Isn't that funny how fast that just went from pretty okay to absolutely dead? Like that was actually very well done by SpeCial, and honestly, that just goes to show you how volatile TVT can be. Like one little error, one mistake here and there, and you're absolutely done. And I think, given how good siege tanks are, that can obviously come into play. But using scans properly and finding your opponent out of position, like actually utilizing them correctly, it's a massive, massive deal. I think that game was also played on the central server, which was a little bit worse for SpeCial, given that he is in Korea right now. Whereas now we're going to be on Western, so things are going to get a little step harder for the Brazilian.
Yep, it's going to get even harder. I mean, that really did feel like the opportunity, I don't want to say of a lifetime, because then we're being a bit dramatic, but everything was going according to plan. And does go to show once more that sometimes the best defense truly is offense, because if it wasn't for that triple drop, everything was going according to plan for our Brazilian Terran player. He was playing his game, he was starting to contain SpeCial, was starting to create a bigger advantage for himself, but it all starts with the 3 medevacs that show up in his natural. He kind of struggles in dealing with it, takes a bit more damage than he was supposed to, felt uncomfortable sticking around in the center, so he unsieges everything, wants to walk home, and that's where it all fell apart.
Yeah, I thoroughly impressed though by Terran. Like we've seen this from a few players where they get everything very right. I mean, I don't even wrongly judge him for what happened in that game. Like definitely it's a good idea if you've got the tank lead to have a few of them sieged and stuff. I think he was just scared because a lot of his army was already orange, and he only had 1 medevac to heal, and the 1 medevac was out. And a bit of like good starport management can go a long way within regards to which units you're actually producing at which time. But yeah, I think SpeCial, he played very well, very solid all round. He was under pressure, did pressure, and he took his one opportunity and just absolutely pounced.
Would have been fun to see this game go on for like 3 or 4 minutes extra, because then we get a proper battle between the Ravens and the guy with the Vikings and the Liberators. And I always think it's fun when you see the 2 different Terran styles clash with one another. Terran requested for 1 minute while we were waiting for the second game to start, but he's good to go. So game 2 is going to be played on Lightshade, but as Ben mentioned, this game will be played on the West server. So that should be slightly better for SpeCial. I don't know if it's really worse for Terran, but Central is definitely a lot better for him than it is for SpeCial. So I think for our Brazilian Terran player, it shouldn't make that much of a difference, maybe a little, but it shouldn't change all that much. For SpeCial, it's going to be a little more pleasant.
Depends how you look at it, right? Because what's worse for SpeCial is better for you. So like, it's an unusual one. It's an unusual one. Anyhow, spawning over in the top left-hand side as our blue Terran, it is Terran.
I love how sophisticated you said that, man.
Sometimes beautiful. I can sound all right, Kev.
And in the bottom right side, we are looking at the main base of a very special red Terran player. It is special.
I don't even class it as mocking. I just thought it sounded very smooth, very sweet.
It did.
Oh, only okay, Kevin. Look at this.
I'm looking, Ben. It feels like we both have the same plan.
This is, you don't often have a cheese that's identical. But I am wondering if Terran is going to produce a second gas or not, because that is the one true deviation. And I don't know if you've ever felt this before. Sometimes you cheese, right? And you don't go all out. And the other guy does the cheese to you, the exact same cheese, but he goes all out. And then he absolutely busts you. And you're like, damn it. If only I was more shameless, But does end up making his second gas, but it's just quite a bit later than SpeCial.
Yep. So we're expecting Reapers here?
Marauders most likely.
On both sides. That's actually kind of fun. So we're both opening up with the proxy barracks Marauder.
And normally you make your factory back at home. Like this is something that I saw, I think it was Clem do it for the first time against, it might have been Maru on Death Aura. And it actually worked out super damn well. And it worked out so well that even if you kind of scout what's happening, holding it off and reacting properly is a little bit tougher because you scout your opponent and it's got the big possibility of it being Reapers, where you overreact and you make 2 bunkers in your base, one for the ramp, one for the other hill. And it's just like, oh, well, you needed a bunker at your main ramp kind of thing.
Yeah, but neither of them has scouted the main base, so that's not happening. And the factory is being built by Terran 2 in his main base, but it's all the way in the back of his main, while SpeCial is doing it in a little more of a standard manner, and it's at the top of his ramp. This is just gonna get wild, isn't it?
It's a clown fiesta already, Kev. It's a clown fiesta. Like, if SpeCial chooses to make, I don't know, a Hellion, then he's in a bit of trouble. Yeah, he's in a bit of trouble. He sees this and he's like, okay, this is already a while game. And he's got the wall off. I actually like Terran's position a lot more.
All right, well, Terran is going to have to repair his depot, and his Marauders are in a bit of trouble. I mean, Marauders are not the greatest units out there against SCVs. 2 of them get surrounded. Okay, one of them at least managed to sneak out. Now the Hellion is going to show up too. We're both going to lose SCVs, that's for sure. Wow, what a surround. That's actually a great surround. No, it gets out of there. What? What?
Yeah, this went from... Oh, nice mineral walking by SpeCial, though. Does get the surround eventually, and that Marauder, well, it is destined to die here. SpeCial taking out all the depots, and Terran, he didn't actually remake a lot of the depots here. He also went for his own Hellions in the back here.
Ooh, I love that.
These SCVs, these are a bit low, though. I know he's getting the surround off.
Yeah, but look, we have got 4 Marauders on the other side of the map. Let's not forget that Terran has been supply blocked for a little while, but there is a nice surround on 2 of the Marauders of SpeCial too. That Hellion is pushing in some extra DPS. It does go down, and now it's 3 Marauders on the low ground against nothing but SCVs. How's that bunker coming along on the high ground? It got damn close to finishing up. It won't complete, but at least it's gonna give some high ground vision to the Marauders. So that's still a pretty useful bunker, if you ask me.
SpeCial's position, he's in great shape now. He's in great shape. I really felt that Terran was
Hellion.
okay. That Hellion, that single Hellion. He's letting it die, though. I mean, that's going to be his biggest damage dealer.
Is he though?
Oh my god, from uptown.
Wow, keeping the Hellion alive. He's still saving it. SpeCial knows it. In the end, it does go down. But not before 19 SCVs have fallen. There are still 3 units alive. All the SCVs will go down. And I think that's going to be all C road for this TVT upper bracket match. And SpeCial will be the very first player to clinch his spot in the playoffs of any of the DreamHack SC2 Summer Masters. Unless the final Marauders of Terran are able to kill literally each and every single unit out on the map. And I've got a hard time believing that's going to happen.
SCV's pretty good, Kevin. Hugging Marauders to death. And that secures SpeCial is trip. Oh, there is a friendly Widowmine there. GG, well played. Down to the 0 supply. SpeCial moves on.